Welcome to Black Male Reimagined. Someone asked me, well, what's the purpose here? And at the essence, it's really about building community. It is about putting art at the heart of movement building. It is about CBMA investing in its hometown heroes and local leaders that are advancing this work. And our community has a story of triumph over tragedy. And I want to bring to the stage two fathers that exemplify what it means to triumph over tragedy and to build and fuel this movement. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Tracy Martin and Ron Davis. And we all know that they have a story to tell, and Ron Davis told the story of his son Jordan in the film 3.5 Minutes, and we're going to show a short clip of that film right now.
Fire rescue Carter, the address of your emergency.
I'm at the gate gas station.
Shots fired in the parking lot.
Two black males stepped out.
Came from the red SUV.
I don't know if they were trying to stash something.
The person driving the vehicle was the one shooting out of the vehicle.
It was like pop, 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 pop. Second, they heard pop, 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 pop.
45-year-old Michael Dunn, he's being charged with shooting and killing 17-year-old Jordan Davis.
The confrontation began over loud music.
Was there music playing in the car?
Yes.
What type of music?
Rap.
Did the defendant say anything about the music?
I hate that thug music.
Thug is the new N-word. You've just seen 4 black kids.
I'm not racist. They're racist.
Michael Dunn is claiming self-defense.
Jordan Davis threatened Michael Dunn.
He goes, "You're dead, bitch."
I look, and I'm looking at a barrel.
This is about the right of everyone to protect themselves, protect their family.
Under the law, it's justified.
I said, "You're not gonna kill me, you son of a bitch."
There's no weapons in that car. Could have been just a stick. Could have been your imagination. Well, no. I mean, anything's possible, I guess.
Maybe they didn't have a gun, but he thought they had a gun.
They think it's a gun when it's in the hands of a young African-American.
Trayvon Martin's father texts me, "I just want to welcome you to a club that none of us want to be in."
It's going to be open season.
Open
you can
season
say later
on,
that maybe you
on
did
who?
have it.
It's time to pick up where Dr. King left off.
I've never covered a trial with this much international attention.
This was a 21st century lynching.
Was he all right to kill my son?
What happened to Jordan? What happened to Jordan?
So Ron, I want to start with you and following the clip of 3.5 minutes. If you can share what were you trying to convey in that film and the backstory from your heart that went into that film.
First of all, thank you for having me here today. I need your energy out there. Everybody say Ashe. Ashe. I need your energy today. Very hard to come out when it's almost the 4th anniversary of his death, which would be the 23rd of November, 2012. For a parent, it doesn't seem like 4 years. It seems like 4 days. It seems like 4 weeks. And I wanted to make this film as it was happening because the families out there, every time we looked at CNN or any of these stations, MSNBC, we saw the family sitting on the couch, just getting the news of the killing of a loved one, of a daughter, of a son, of a mother or a father or a sister or a brother. they looked the same to me. They were all sitting in a chair or sitting on a couch, and the reporter would stick the mic in their face and say, "How do you feel? What do you think the police did?" You know, ask you all these questions. And as you sit on that couch and you've just heard that your loved one's been killed, everything that is going through your mind is about your family, about the family members you have to call, the family members you have to tell that that person that's so instrumental in your family, your entire family, what we mean to each other in our entire family, that one person, we have to tell the whole family that that person is no longer with us. And I wanted everyone to see what that looks like, to understand that families out here are more than a face on CNN for 15 minutes. You know, what happened to Alton Sterling? He was there for a couple of days, then they moved on. Philandro moved on. Just like they moved on with Tracy Martin's family and my family. But we, as strong fathers, we wanted to make sure that we're going to stand up for our children, that we're going to tell the story continually for the rest of our lives about our children. Because you are our children. If I can't stand up for my child in God, I got to stand up for you.
Thank you. You mentioned, I heard in the film clip, Tracy text you and said, "Welcome to the club." And that is a club that no parent wants to be a part of. But the sharing of the tragedy and the pain. And Tracy, I'm going to ask you just to share that connection and how that evolved out of you and the death of Trayvon and the connection that you made to Ron.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for having me on this forum. It's difficult anytime you come out and talk about the loss of a loved one. But at the end of the day, we understand that there's a bigger picture. There are more lives out there that we need to save. And a part of that text message was letting my buddy here, Ron, know that what he was going through, I was going through a similar thing, and that I would be there for him, just like you know, the nation was there for us. It's hard to, you know, even though we lost 2 children in a similar fashion. As a man, I can't look him in the eye and tell him I know how he feels, because he had his own personal relationship with his child, and I had my own personal relationship with my child. I understand what he's going through, but I can't honestly say I know how you feel. You know what I'm saying? So that message was just to let him know that even though you're going through something, I'm here for you. And I let him know that from day one, and we've been good friends ever since then.
It's funny, we were talking earlier about generations, and I was sharing a story of my father and my father-in-law, and in separate conversations they shared when they left the families that the walls were closing in. And it was a generation where you had to white knuckle your way through emotions that you could not go through to another man and say, "I'm scared, I'm hurting, I need help." And I would love to hear from the both of you to talk about what it means to be a man and to cry and go to another man and say, "I love you and I got your back."
Well, I learned a lot from my dad. My mother and father were both in World War II. Shows you how old I am. And my mother was a nurse. She was she was a WAC. She was in the Women's Army Corps. And my father, he was in Germany, and he drove the fuel trucks up to the front for the tanks. And the Southern white soldiers in the U.S. Army, same nation he was fighting for, the Southern white soldiers would go up on top of the trucks that the black drivers were going to drive to the front and dismantle the machine guns, which was your only way to defend yourself against the German planes while you're driving this load of fuel. The Southern soldiers thought that the black soldier would turn the machine gun on them. So you were fighting two wars. You were fighting for your country, and then you were fighting people that were in your country. And so World War II was celebrated, and I celebrated that with Jordan. And when my father came home, he was shaken, he told me. And the conversation that we had about that was that men came home disappointed, black men, to fight for a country, to die for a country, to lose limbs for a country, and you come home and you're called nigger. You gave your life for this country. We have done it over and over again in many wars. Some of you have children right now in Afghanistan, Iran, Pakistan, and they're giving their lives. They're sent up there every single day. They're not going to Starbucks. They're not having a coffee, as we say in New York, a coffee. They're not doing that. They're giving their lives for this country so they can be free in this country. And because of the color of our skin, why can't we be free? We should be free. My father did not cry, but one time that I actually seen him cry is when he started getting older. He was in his 80s, and I kept asking him to come live with me in Florida. He said no, he's a strong man coming from all those old school places, like you said, and he wouldn't come. One day he called me because he had bone cancer, and he had been dealing with it for 10 years. And he said, Ronnie, I need you to come get me. He was in Alabama. Flew to Alabama to get him, and he said, I always knew I could depend on you, and he started crying. That was the first and only time I've actually seen crocodile tears from this man that came out of a society where you're not supposed to cry. And I blessed him for that, and I continue to bless him because he showed me as a man how to cry. And we need to learn as men how to love, how to cry, and how to live.
I think one of the most overlooked aspect of African American men is our sensitivity. We put this shield up. We're supposed to protect our families. We're supposed to be the head of the household, and so oftentimes we don't let that soft side of us come out. When you lose a child, you try to do everything you can to hold that in. So releasing that, letting your guards down and letting that, letting your sensitive side come out and telling someone, another man, that I love you, is something that we need to do more of, because that just lets another brother know that, listen, we may be from a different mother, a different father, but we cut from the same cloth. We are of the same. And one of the biggest perceptions is, and this is just me personally, and this is just the spirit taking over me, because we've let society tear us apart. We've let society take African American men out of the household. We've let society let the woman be the head of the household. We let society say that you're not good enough to be a father in this country. So what do we have to do to get back to that point? Years ago when they started Section 8, that was one of the worstest things that could have happened to an African American man, because what it did was it allowed the father to leave the home. The government said that if you're gonna pay $8 a month for rent, your father, this man, can't be in this house. So that gave us an excuse to leave the home. Once we left the home, we didn't want to go back. So now we have our children, our young boys that need guidance. And who do they look to for guidance? They look to the mother. I was raised in a single parent home. I love my mother, love my father. But it comes a point in time in your life where mama got to let your hand go. And daddy got to take control. It's time out for baby and that baby. We can only be breastfed for so long. Our children are holding on to that, being breastfed by their mothers till they 14, 15 years old. He's 15 years old as a mother. You can't tell him nothing right now. He's smelling himself. Now when he goes out here and do some mischievous act, the government wants to say the father has just never been in his house. And I say that to say the perception that America has about us. We was going through the jury, selecting the jury. And there was a white, middle-aged white woman on the jury and had the audacity to say that Trayvon wouldn't have got killed had I been in his life. And that was just so heartening, just to see what America think about African-American fathers. My son lived with me. You know, he lived with me, but you gonna sit up on this, you gonna sit up and say that he wouldn't have got killed had I been in his life. That's the perception. That's one of the narratives we have to change. We as African-American men have to get back in our kids' life. There's a lack of respect, our young men, to the fathers because it's a disconnect. There's a huge disconnect. Our young men are angry, you know, and we just don't know how to talk with, you know, we can't have a good conversation with them at this point in time because we've been absent from their lives, and America has a lot to do with it.
And so what's the message? There's young people, young men, young ladies in the room here, high school students, many are watching online, and what's the message of hope that you have for them and the communication that you talked about, the disconnect? What's the message and hope that you have?
First of all, we have to instill in them, we have to let them know that, you know, young brother, I love you. I love you. Not just because you my son or you're my son's friend. I love you because you're an African-American young man with potential. And that potential that you have, that's what we here to bring it out of you. You know, so we have to let them understand that they are loved and that their life means something. And you can start by setting minute goals. Just set a small goal and see how easy that small goal is. See how easy it is to achieve that small goal. Start a little bank account. You don't have to put we have to start with a financial structure. There's so many foundations that are out there that we're not giving to our young men that we can give to them to show them that it's a better way. Once we show them love, show them respect, because if you don't respect yourself, you won't respect another life. So we instill in them respect, love, and first and foremost, God. Can't go wrong.
You know, and so much of this you talked about is managing the emotions, right? And as I was preparing to meet you and your stories, you know, I was like, God, the pain, but also the rage. And it's been 4 years. And there's been a succession of police murders of black boys and girls. How have you managed and healed the inevitable rage that I know I would have, that I do have? How do you manage that?
Well, I know one thing that I want to make sure I get out today with all these young minds here, especially black males, because you know, we're just walking the streets committing suicide according to the police department. You know, according to the police department, every time you walk up, if your hands are on the steering wheel, we're going to shoot you. If your hands are up, we're going to shoot you. If you're running away, we're going to shoot you. If your hand's in your pocket, we're going to shoot you. We don't know what to do. When we see the police car behind us, we don't know what to do and what to say, okay? So what I'm saying to the young males here, we have to make sure of our situation. If you don't need to be out real late at night, it's unfortunate, but don't. You have to create safe zones for yourself, because everything that we put out there for you to do, like the Hands Up program, you see them on video, hands up, still get shot. No matter whether you surrender or not. The first thing you have to understand in America, we have domestic terrorists. It used to be called the KKK, but they're still around. It's called domestic terrorism. And those people are looking for you to do anything, and whether you do something right or wrong, they lie and say on video, stop reaching for my gun when you're not reaching for their gun. They say, stop shooting at me, stop pulling out this. And you see it on videos day in and day out. How can we tell our young people to be respectful for the police when they lie and they cheat and they pay off the families like our families just to get away with it? They did it in Chicago, they did it in New York, Eric Garner, they do it every single time. They did it in Baltimore. They continue to shoot and kill our people, and they keep wanting to pay us off under the table. We have to stop that. We have to agitate like John Lewis and all the boys, C.T. Vivian. We have to agitate, let them know that we are not going to stand for it anymore. We have to legislate. We have to talk to the policymakers. You know, if you don't change the policy and you don't change the law, you're going to keep getting murdered in the streets. And how many times are you families, you young men that are 40 and above out here that have children like you're going to be right up here on this stage with me. And I don't want to see you up here, so we need to do something about it. We need to stand up for ourselves. And we need to make a change in this society and stop killing us. We're not here to be murdered.
I look at the whole rage situation and the forgiveness situation as it's been 1,600 and give or take a day or two, 84 days since my son was taken away from me. Rage, I'm beyond rage. Angry, I'm beyond angered. Frustration, beyond frustrated. Have I forgiven? No, and I'm a God-fearing man. And if I would sit up on this stage today and tell you that I forgave the individual that killed my son, I'd be less than a man. And some people will say, well, God said you got to forgive. I forgive, but in my own time. It may not be in my lifetime, but in my time. Because if I forgive him for the heinous act that he committed, the crime that he committed, the murder he committed, if I forgive him for that, then it's okay for them to continue to do it. And it's not okay. It's not okay for them to continue to do it. And so the forgiveness and the bitterness is there, and it's going to stay embedded in my heart because the video you had today was powerful. And it said that the father, it was a young man, he was up here doing spoken word earlier, and he was saying that as fathers, we are master gardeners. And our blood, sweat, and tears is what fertilized our children. And you plucked that away from me. So yeah, of course I'm bitter. Of course I'm upset. And I'm gonna stay angry until something gets done about it. That's just me, and if I had to take that to my grave, I'll take it to my grave.
So I want to thank you both for your love of not only your children, your sons, of each other, your courage being thrust into activists when you may not have. Who would want to be an activist under these conditions? Want you to know that you are covered by a community of not only people in this room, across the nation, and that we will hold you up and support your activism. And this is not so much about reimagining black men. This is about reimagining our country and creating America that we have never seen before. And so I just want to thank you both for your courage and your leadership, Tracy Martin and Ron Davis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.